would you do if your father came home late at night, but something about him felt wrong? Not wrong enough to panic, not obvious enough to run, just slightly off. The way he stands in the doorway, the way he looks at you, the way he says your name. Most people think danger comes from strangers, from things they don't recognize. But the truth is much worse. The most dangerous thing is something you trust, something familiar, something that looks exactly like someone you love, but isn't. Because when something feels real, your mind doesn't question it. It accepts it. And that's how it gets close. Tonight, you're going to hear a story about a boy who stayed home alone, waiting for his father to come back. He heard the knock. He heard the voice. And he opened the door. And in that moment, everything changed. The house felt different at night. Not louder, not darker, just empty. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because being alone isn't always the problem. It's realizing how alone you are. Ethan sat in the living room, staring at the clock. 11:52 p.m. His father was supposed to be back by midnight. Nothing unusual. Nothing to worry about. At least that's what he kept telling himself. The TV was on, but muted. Not for entertainment. For comfort. Because silence in an empty house is never just silence. It stretches. Feels heavier. Like something is missing. Or worse. Like something is waiting. Ethan checked his phone. No messages. No calls. Just time moving forward. Slowly. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He wasn't afraid of being alone. He was afraid of something breaking that silence. The sound came suddenly. A knock. Soft. Barely there. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because it wasn't loud enough to be urgent, but not quiet enough to ignore. Ethan looked toward the door. Didn't move. Didn't react. Just listened. Waiting for it to happen again. Seconds passed. Then another knock. Slightly stronger. More certain. Like whoever was outside wanted to be heard. His chest tightened. Because now, it wasn't random. It was intentional. He stood up slowly. Each step toward the door felt heavier. Like something was pulling him forward. While something else told him to stop. That's the moment people ignore. That feeling. That hesitation. Because curiosity always wins. And that's exactly what it wants. Ethan opened the door. The voice came calmly, not loud, not rushed. Just normal. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because he recognized it instantly. It was his father. Same tone. Same way of speaking. Same quiet authority. There was no doubt. No confusion. Nothing that felt wrong. And that's what made it dangerous. Because if it sounded different, he would have questioned it. If it sounded strange, he would have stepped back. But it didn't. It sounded exactly right. And when something sounds exactly right, your brain doesn't resist. It relaxes, accepts, moves forward. Ethan stepped closer to the door, close enough to hear him clearly, close enough to open it. And in that moment, something became undeniable. The voice wasn't trying to convince him. It didn't need to. Ethan reached for the handle, but stopped, just for a second. My chest tightens when I think about it, because sometimes 1 second is everything. Something didn't feel right, not obvious, Not clear, just off. The way his father spoke. Too calm and too steady. No tiredness in his voice, no irritation, no small Pravitsky he always had. Just clean, perfect. And that's the problem. Because real people aren't perfect. They hesitate. They change tone. They sound human. This didn't. Ethan, the voice repeated. Same tone, same pacing, exactly the same. And that's when he noticed it. It wasn't just familiar. It was identical. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't repeating his father's voice. It was playing it. Say something, Ethan said quietly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is where it starts testing. A pause, short, controlled. Then, what do you want me to say? Well, the answer came too fast, too clean, like it wasn't thinking, just responding. Ethan's chest tightened, because his father would have reacted differently, would have asked why, would have sounded confused. This didn't. It adapted, adjusted, matched the situation, but something was missing. Emotion, imperfection, reality. Where were you? Ethan asked. Another pause. Then, working late. Correct answer, but wrong feeling. Because it didn't sound like memory. It sounded like information. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It knew the answers, but it didn't understand them. Ethan stood there, hands still hovering near the door handle, not touching it, not pulling away, just suspended. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is the exact moment everything can still be avoided. He could have stepped back, ignored it, waited, called his father, done anything else. But he didn't. Because part of him still believed, still wanted this to be normal, still wanted to open that door and see something that made sense. That's the danger, not fear. Hope. Hope keeps you standing still when you should be walking away. Ethan, the voice said again. Same tone, same calm control, no change, no frustration, no emotion. And that's what makes it worse. Because real people react, they get impatient, they change. This didn't. It stayed the same, perfect. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't waiting for him to decide. It was waiting for him to doubt himself enough to open it. You're acting strange, the voice said. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because now, it starts pushing, not asking, not waiting, guiding. You always open the door for me. That line hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't a request. It was a reminder, a pattern, something real, something true. And that's how it works. It doesn't invent things. It uses them, takes what you know, and turns it against you. Ethan's chest tightened, because he did always open the door, without thinking, without hesitation, every time. So why was this different? Why did it feel wrong now? Open the door, the voice repeated, slightly lower this time, more direct, less patient. And that's when it changed. Just a little. Enough to feel, enough to notice. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't trying to sound like his father anymore. It was trying to sound like something he couldn't refuse. Ethan leaned closer to the door, slowly, carefully. My chest tightens when I think about it, because curiosity always finds a way. There was a small gap, between the door and the frame, barely visible, but enough to see through. He shouldn't have looked. He knew that, but he did. And that's when he saw it. Feet, standing still, right outside. Same shoes his father always wore. Same position, same stance. Everything looked right. Perfect. Too perfect. Because there was no movement, no shifting weight, no natural motion. Just stillness. Complete stillness. Ethan's chest tightened harder. Because that's not how people stand. Not for that long. Not without moving. Not without adjusting. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need to show him everything. It just needed to show him enough to believe. Dad. The word almost left his mouth. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because that's the second trap. The first is answering once. The second is doing it again. Ethan caught himself, stopped just in time, but it was close, too close, because now he was starting to slip, starting to doubt what he felt, starting to question his own instincts. Ethan, the voice said again, closer this time, not louder, just closer. How long are you going to keep me waiting? There it was. Pressure. Subtle. Controlled, but real. And pressure makes people act. Makes them choose. Makes them move. His hand touched the handle. Lightly. Just enough to feel it. Cold. Solid. Real. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need him to open the door quickly. It just needed him to keep getting closer to doing it. The handle moved, just slightly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that's the point of no return. Not the moment the door opens, the moment the decision is made. Ethan pulled it slowly, carefully, like he still had control, like he could stop any time, but he didn't. The door opened just enough to reveal the figure outside, and for a second, everything looked normal. His father stood there, same face, same posture, same calm expression, but something was wrong, not obvious, not immediate, just wrong. The way he looked at him. Too still, too focused, too aware. Finally, he said, and that word didn't sound like relief. It sounded like success. Ethan's chest tightened instantly, because now it wasn't about whether he should have opened the door. It was about what he had just let inside. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't come in. He let it. His father stepped in, slowly, not hesitating, not looking around, just entering. My chest tightens when I think about it, because real people pause, they adjust, they react to space. This didn't. It walked straight past him, like it already knew the house, every step quiet, controlled, too precise. Ethan closed the door behind him. Instinct, habit, something he had done 1,000 times before. And that's the problem, because routine makes dangerous things feel normal. Why are you awake? His father asked. Calm, neutral, but wrong, because there was no tiredness, no rastrogenia, no emotion at all. Ethan swallowed, trying to answer, trying to act normal, because now he wasn't questioning it anymore. He was inside the situation. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need to force its way in. It just needed to be invited. And everything after that became easier. His father didn't move further into the house. He just stood there, looking at him. My chest tightens when I think about it, because it wasn't a normal look. Not tired, not distracted, not casual, focused, too focused, like he was studying him, observing every reaction, every movement, every breath. Ethan shifted slightly, uncomfortable, because that kind of attention isn't natural. "How was your night?" his father asked. Same tone, same pacing, no variation. Ethan answered, automatically, but he didn't feel heard, because the response didn't matter, only that he responded. And that's the trap. It doesn't care about conversation. It cares about interaction, connection, confirmation, that you're engaged, that you're still reacting. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't looking at him like a father looks at a son. It was looking at him like something trying to understand how he works. "How long have you been alone?" The question came suddenly, out of place. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that's not what a father asks first. Not like that. Not so directly. Ethan hesitated, just for a second. "Since evening," he said. The answer felt normal, but the reaction didn't. His father nodded, slowly, too slowly, like he was processing information, not understanding it. "What did you do?" he asked next. Another question. Too fast, too structured, like a list. Ethan answered again, because not answering felt worse, more suspicious, more dangerous. And that's how it works. It creates pressure. Not enough to panic, just enough to respond. Again, and again, and again. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't talking to him. It was collecting something. Ethan started noticing things, small things, things most people would ignore. My chest tightens when I think about it, because once you start noticing, you can't stop. The way his father stood, too straight, too balanced, no shifting weight, no natural movement. The way he blinked, too rarely, too controlled, like blinking was a function, not a reflex. And then his eyes, they weren't wrong, not obviously, but something about them felt empty, like they were looking through him, not at him. Ethan's chest tightened, because this wasn't fear anymore. This was realization. Something was off, not slightly, not maybe, definitely. But the problem is, once something is already inside, realizing it doesn't help. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He didn't need more proof. He already knew. "Why are you staring at me like that?" The question came suddenly, sharp. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now it noticed. Ethan looked away immediately. Too late, because it already saw the hesitation, the doubt, the fear, and that's the shift. Before, it was observing him. Now, it knew something had changed. "I asked you something," his father said. This time, the tone was different, lower, more direct, less controlled, like something was slipping. Ethan answered quickly, too quickly, trying to fix it, trying to act normal. But it didn't matter, because once something notices fear, it doesn't ignore it. It uses it. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't pretending perfectly anymore. It didn't need to. His father took a step closer. Slow, measured. My chest tightens when I think about it, because distance matters. Space gives you control, and when that space disappears, so does your safety. Ethan didn't step back. He couldn't, because moving suddenly would make it obvious. And that's the trap. You're stuck. Not because you can't move, but because you don't know what will happen if you do. Another step. Closer now. Too close. Close enough to see every detail, every imperfection, every small thing that didn't belong. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't his father. Not even close. But it looked like him. Sounded like him. Moved like him. And that's enough. Because it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be believable. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He wasn't standing in front of his father. He was standing in front of something wearing him. Say something. The voice changed again. Less calm, more demanding. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now it's no longer waiting. It's pushing. Ethan stayed silent, completely, because now he understood the rule. Too late, but still in time to try. Not responding is the only control left. Why are you quiet? It asked. Closer, lower, more intense. Another step forward. Answer me. Ethan didn't move, didn't speak, didn't react. Because reacting now means losing. And it knew that. I could feel it. Because now, the silence wasn't fear. It was resistance. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It needed him to respond more than anything else. The expression changed, subtly at first, then more. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is where the mask breaks. The face was still his father's, but the emotion wasn't. Something underneath shifted. Impatience, frustration, something raw, something real. And for the first time, I didn't feel controlled. You're not acting right, it said. But the voice wasn't his father's anymore. Not fully, not clean. Something else was mixing in. Something deeper. Something unnatural. Ethan's chest tightened, because now he was seeing it. Not clearly, but enough. Enough to know. This wasn't human. And in that moment, something became undeniable. The longer he stayed silent, the harder it became for it to stay in control. The phone rang, loud, sudden, breaking the tension instantly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because timing matters. And this was perfect. Ethan didn't move, but his eyes shifted just slightly toward the sound. The screen lit up. One name. Dad. His chest tightened instantly, because that means one thing. The real one was somewhere else. The thing in front of him didn't move, didn't react, just stood there, watching, waiting. As the phone kept ringing, louder, more urgent, more real. And in that moment, something became undeniable. Whatever was standing in front of him wasn't the one calling. The phone stopped ringing. Silence again. Heavy. Thick. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now everything is clear. No confusion. No doubt. No hope. Just truth. Ethan looked up slowly at the thing in front of him, and for the first time, he didn't see his father. Not really. The face was still there. The shape. The voice. But something deeper was gone. Something human. Something real. Replaced by something else. Something that didn't belong. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He didn't make a mistake when he opened the door. He made a mistake When he believed it was him, it just stood there, not attacking, not stepping closer, not speaking. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that stillness is worse than movement. Ethan didn't move either, because now he understood something important. If he reacted, it would react. If he moved, it would adjust. So he stayed completely still, watching, waiting, trying not to breathe too loudly. The thing in front of him didn't blink, didn't shift, didn't even seem to breathe. Just watching him, studying him, like it was waiting for one thing, a mistake, any mistake. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't deciding what to do. It already knew. It was waiting for him to give it a reason. Seconds passed, then minutes. No sound, no movement. My chest tightens when I think about it, because silence like that isn't empty. It's pressure. It forces you to act, to speak, to break it. Ethan felt it building, that urge to say something, anything, just to make it stop. Because humans don't handle silence well. We feel it, we respond, we react, and that's exactly what it wants. But he didn't. He held it, fought it, stayed quiet, because now he finally understood the rule. Not opening the door was never the most important part. Not speaking was. And in that moment, something became undeniable. Silence wasn't weakness. It was the only thing keeping him safe. Ethan. The voice returned, soft again, almost normal. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is the final attempt, the last strategy. It stepped closer, just slightly, enough to feel the shift in space. I know you're scared, it said. Same tone his father used when he tried to calm him down. Same rhythm, same softness. Perfect, too perfect. You can talk to me, he continued. I'm here. That line was dangerous because it sounded right. It sounded comforting. It sounded like something he wanted to believe. And that's the trap. Not fear, comfort. Because comfort lowers resistance, makes you forget, makes you trust. But Ethan didn't respond, didn't move, didn't react. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It had nothing else left to try. The expression broke. Not fully, not instantly, but enough. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that's when the illusion cracks. The face was still his father's, but something underneath shifted. The eyes changed first. Not color, not shape, just intention. They weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking through him, like something inside had stopped pretending. Then the mouth, slight movement, not a smile, not a reaction. Something else, something unnatural, something that didn't belong on a human face. Ethan's chest tightened hard, because now he wasn't guessing anymore. He was seeing it, the difference, the thing behind the face. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't lose control. It stopped hiding. Another step. Closer now. Too close. My chest tightens when I think about it, because distance was gone. There was no space left, no time to react, no way to escape. Ethan could feel it now. Not touch, not physical, but presence. Heavy, pressing, like the air itself changed. You let me in, it said. Voice deeper now, less controlled, more real. And that's the truth. He did. Not by force, not by trick, by choice. And that's what makes it worse. Because when you choose something, you own it. You're part of it. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't in the house. It was already inside the situation. Because of him. The phone rang again. Louder this time. More urgent. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because this is the moment everything splits. Reality. And what he's facing. Ethan didn't move. Didn't look. Because looking is reacting. And reacting is losing. But the ringing didn't stop. It kept going. Cutting through the silence. Breaking the tension. The thing in front of him didn't react. Didn't even acknowledge it. Because it didn't matter. The call wasn't for it. It was for him. A chance. A choice. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He could still decide what happens next. The phone kept ringing, then stopped. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because that was the moment. The last one. The final chance to respond. To react. To break. But he didn't. He stayed silent completely. Because now he understood everything. The knock. The voice. The questions. The pressure. All leading to one thing. Response. And without it, there's nothing. No connection. No control. No entry. The thing in front of him shifted slightly just once. Like something inside it changed, adjusted, recalculated. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It couldn't continue without him. Light appeared slowly, faint at first, then stronger. Morning, my chest tightens when I think about it. Because that's the only thing that ends it. Not strength, not fighting, time. The thing in front of him didn't move, but something changed, subtle, almost invisible. The presence weakened, not gone, but less, like it was losing connection, losing hold. And then I stepped back, just once, slowly, quietly. No sound, no warning, just distance. And then it was gone. No transition, no fade, just absence. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't leave because it wanted to. It left because it had to. Ethan didn't move for a long time, long after it was gone. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that's when everything settles. Not fear, understanding. He looked at the door, then at the phone, then at the empty space where it stood, and it all connected. The door wasn't the mistake. The voice wasn't the danger. The presence wasn't the threat. The real problem was response. Every time he spoke, it got stronger. Every time he reacted, it got closer. Every time he believed, it became real. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't replace his father. It used him to get closer to him. The scariest part isn't that it exists. It's that it knows how you think. My chest tightens when I think about it, because it doesn't need power. It doesn't need strength. It doesn't need to break in. It just needs one thing. You. Your voice. Your attention. Your reaction. Because once you give it that, it doesn't need anything else. And that's what makes it different. Because by the time you realize what it is, you've already let it in. Not through the door. Not through the house. Through yourself. And once that happens, There's no clear line anymore, no clear boundary, no safe distance. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It was never trying to be your father. It was trying to become real through you. Thanks for watching. Now I want to ask you something. If someone you trust came home late at night and something about them felt wrong, would you open the door or would you stay silent? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy stories like this, subscribe, because the next one might be someone even closer to you.